Well, hi, I'm Pop, and I'm here to tell you a story, a special kind of story called a trickster tale. Now, wherever stories are told, there are trickster tales, and the trickster may vary depending on the country in which the story is told. In Africa, the trickster is a spider called a Nancy. In Native American culture, the trickster is the coyote. Where I grew up in the southern United States, the most famous of the tricksters was a rabbit. His name was Brer Rabbit. Now, Brer is probably not a word you're familiar with. As a matter of fact, it's not even a word, it's an abbreviation. It's short for brother. It's like calling somebody bro today. And in these stories, all the animals call one another Brer. Brer Fox, Brer Bear, Brer Possum, Brer Turtle, and Brer Rabbit. Now, the story I'm going to tell you today is perhaps the most famous of all the Brer Rabbit stories. I call it Brer Rabbit's sticky situation. All the other animals hated Brer Rabbit, and they hated him because he was always playing tricks on them. He was always making them look stupid, making them look silly. And then he'd do even worse than that. He'd tell all the other animals how silly he'd made them look, and so they felt even sillier. Yes, all the animals hated Brer Rabbit. But the animal who hated Brer Rabbit most of all was Brer Fox, because Brer Rabbit picked on Brer Fox more than he picked on all the other animals combined. And so Brer Fox had sworn that if it was the last thing he ever did, he was going to kill Brer Rabbit. Now the problem was that in order to kill Brer Rabbit, he had to catch Brer Rabbit, and that was not an easy job. But then one day, Brer Fox was walking by Mr. Man's house, and he saw that the workman who just put a new roof on the house had left a big bucket of black, sticky roofing tar sitting beside the house. The roof was finished, so they clearly were done with that tar, but they'd forgotten to take it with them. And that gave Brer Fox an idea. Brer Fox took that black, smelly, icky tar and he went down a road that he knew Brer Rabbit traveled every day. And he came to a fork in that road where Brer Rabbit would have to decide to go one way or the other. And right there in that fork, he took that black, smelly tar and he shaped it into a human kind of figure. Had a body with arms on it that sort of like arms on their hands on their hips. And the head, he put a face on it. And to make that face, he stuck a corn cob right in the middle of that face. And then right above the corn cob, he put two big white buttons. And then underneath it, he found an old comb that had some broken teeth in it. And he stuck that right under there. And so this critter now had a mouth, kind of snaggly tooth mouth. And Brer Fox stepped back and he looked at that critter he'd made. He said, he looks almost human. Smells kind of bad, smells kind of like a skunk, but it looks good. But there's something missing. And he looked around and he thought, I know what it is. And so he went off and he got himself a straw hat, just like the one that Brer Rabbit wears. And he put that straw hat right there on that critter's head. And he said, oh, yes, now he looks human. And then Brer Fox looked for a place to hide. He looked over on one side of the road and there was a big briar patch. Briars are big bushes like rose bushes with thorns, except thorns are lots longer and sharper than rose thorns. He said, I can't hide in there. Those thorns would rip me to pieces. And on the other side of the road, he saw a tree and he tried to hide behind that pine tree. But no matter how he turned, either his sharp, pointy nose poked out or his bushy tail poked out. So finally, he just lay down in a ditch and made himself comfortable. Well, as comfortable as you can be laying in a ditch. And he waited for Brer Rabbit. Now, fortunately, he didn't have to wait long. Brer Rabbit came dancing down the road, singing and whistling and laughing about all the tricks he'd played on folks and the tricks he was going to play. And when he got to the fork in the road, he saw that critter sitting there in the middle of the road. And he did exactly what Brer Fox had expected him to do, because he knew Brer Rabbit couldn't stand to walk by somebody without talking to him. So Brer Rabbit looked at that critter and he took his hat off and he said, "Well, good morning to you. Good morning. How are you this fine morning?" And of course, that critter didn't say a word. And Brer Rabbit took offense at that. But he thought, well, maybe the poor fellow's deaf. So he got up a little closer to him and he said, "I said, good morning. How are you this fine morning?" And he tipped his hat off. And of course, that critter still didn't say anything. And Brer Rabbit was starting to get mad, just like Brer Fox had expected he would. And Brer Rabbit finally said, "Listen, I don't know whether you're deaf or just conceited or stuck up or what, but if you don't take your hat off and say good morning to me, I'm going to have to whoop you. So, good morning. How are you this fine morning?" And of course, that critter did not say anything. And Brer Rabbit had all of that he could stand. He took his hat off, he threw it on the ground, and he said, "All right, don't say I didn't warn you." And he balls up his right paw, his right fist, and he hits that critter right upside the head as hard as he can. Kapow! His fist was stuck in that icky, sticky tar. And that made Brer Rabbit even madder. He said, "Listen, if you don't turn loose of me right now, I'm going to have to hit you again." Well, of course, that critter didn't say anything, and he didn't turn loose either. So Brer Rabbit hauled up his left fist, and he went pow! And now he had both fists stuck in that icky, sticky tar. And he's getting madder by the minute. He said, "You better turn loose of me right now. I'm going to have to kick you." And of course, that critter didn't turn loose. And so Brer Rabbit reared back and kicked him with both feet as hard as he could. Kapow! Kapow! And now Brer Rabbit had all four paws stuck in that icky, sticky tar. And you know what he did then? He headbutted him. He went kapap! And now Brer Rabbit had all 4 feet and his head stuck in that icky, sticky tar. And the more he struggled, the stucker he got. Well, that's when Brer Fox came out of the ditch. And he came over and he looked down at Brer Rabbit and he said, "I got you now, you long-eared, bob-tailed troublemaker. And I'm just going to finish you off right now. I'm going to have me some barbecued rabbit for dinner." Now, Brer Rabbit is so stuck, he can't really look very good to see Brer Fox, but he knows he's in a heap of trouble. But what you got to know about Brer Rabbit is that he never thought he was beat. He never gave up. And so he's sitting there and he's thinking, well, I'm stuck fast, but I can still think fast and I can talk fast. And out of the corner of his eye, he saw that briar patch. And he said, he knew what he was going to do. He said, "Oh, Brer Fox, you got me. You finally, after all these years, you have proven that you're smarter than I am, and you have caught me. And so you can do with me whatever you choose. I don't much like the idea of being barbecued, but I certainly don't want to be slathered with hot, sticky barbecue sauce, but I'm already pretty sticky, so if that's what you want to do, just be sure that sauce is nice and sweet and got lots of brown sugar and molasses in it. Because if you want to eat me, you just go right on ahead because you have won. But Brer Fox, I got one favor to ask. That you can barbecue me if you want to, but please, whatever you do, don't throw me in that briar patch. Please, don't throw me in that briar patch." Well, that made Brer Fox think, and thinking wasn't anything Brer Fox was used to doing very much. He wanted to be sure that Brer Rabbit suffered. And he thought, well, if he rather be barbecued than thrown in that briar patch. I better think about this again. And then Brer Fox said, well, you know, Brer Rabbit, it's mighty hot today. It's too hot to build a fire to barbecue you. And I didn't bring any barbecue sauce. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to take you down to the river and drown you. And Brer Rabbit said, oh, Brer Fox, that sounds even worse than being barbecued. You know, I'm not Brer Otter. I hate the water, but you won. I mean, if you won, if you want to drown me, you can do it. If you want to barbecue me, you can do it. But Brer Fox, please, whatever you do, don't throw me in that briar patch. Now Brer Fox is really thinking. He thinks, he'd rather go in that briar patch than be barbecued or drowned. Let me think of something else. And then he said, okay, you know, it's a pretty far down, pretty long trip down there to the river to drown you. Said, I think I'll just hang you from this tree here. I got some rope. And Brer Rabbit said, well, okay, Brer Fox, if that's what you want to do. Said, I don't like that idea very much. Wouldn't like being hung, but want to hang me, hang me. If you want to drown me, drown me. If you want to barbecue me, barbecue me. But if you got a decent bone in your body, Brer Fox, please don't throw me in that briar patch. Well, Brer Fox thought one more time. He thought, sounds to me like there's nothing that would make Brer Rabbit more unhappy than being thrown into that briar patch. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to throw him in the briar patch. He snatched Brer Rabbit by the ears, pulled him out of that icky, sticky tar, flung him around his head several times, and just threw him right toward that briar patch. And Brer Rabbit is screaming at the top of his voice as he flies to the air, going, and then he hits those briars and goes, ooh, 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 ah, 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 ooh, 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 ooh. And then it's totally quiet. Not a sound. And Brer Fox listens, hoping he's going to hear Brer Rabbit moaning in pain. He doesn't hear a thing. He listens with his good ear, and he still doesn't hear a thing. He's hoping he's going to hear moaning and groaning. Not a sound. Brer Fox says, ha ha, I did it. I have killed Brer Rabbit. All the other animals are going to think I'm a hero. Let me go tell them. And he turned around to start to go back to tell the other animals. And just as he turned, he heard a voice from the other side of the briar patch. And that voice was saying, Brer Fox, Brer Fox. And Brer Fox turned back around, and there on the other side of the briar patch sat Brer Rabbit, sitting on a log with his hand full of thorns, scraping the tar out of his fur. And he looked at Brer Fox and he said, Brer Fox, you must have forgot, if you ever knew, that I was born and raised in the briar patch. It's just like home to me. And thank you for putting me back there. And with that, Brer Rabbit hopped up off the log he'd been sitting on, and he danced off into the distance, laughing and singing like he owned the world and was collecting rent from everybody in it. And as he disappeared over the hill, all Brer Fox could do was shake his head in shame, because he knew that Brer Rabbit was going to be a thorn in his side for as long as they lived.